Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Welcome to Catholic Chicago and the Black Catholic Initiative. This is a show that brings you the perspectives, the insights, and the experiences of Black Catholics throughout the Archdiocese of Chicago, from east to west and from north to south. Here we discuss what's happening, who and what is making an impact in the Black Catholic community, and most importantly, how we move forward as a people of faith, a faith that is uniquely Catholic and uniquely Black. I'm Deacon Jim Norman, Vicar for Deacons with the Archdiocese of Chicago, sitting in for Father Michael Trail. And with me today, part two, our show Today, Tomorrow, and Forever, we have Andrew and Teri Lyke, who've been married for 49 years and have committed more than 40 years to ministering to couples seeking to be married and then married couples as they journey along. Welcome, Teri and Andrew.
Hi. Good morning.
Thank you for being back with us. For those who weren't with us for our previous episode, we'd like to take a moment to allow you to introduce yourselves and give us a bit of a background on yourselves and your marriage and your ministry.
Oh, well, like you said, we've been married 49 years, but we've known each other since high school. We're high school sweethearts.
Oh, wonderful.
And that was really special. Yeah. We have two children, adult children, and each of them have three. So we have 6 grands.
Wonderful. We call them our grand blessings.
Yeah. Your grand blessings. Wonderful. and tell us about the ministry.
Yeah.
Sure. We got involved with Marriage Encounter just shortly after. We married in 75 and we, I think it was around 1978, we got involved with Marriage Encounter, really looking for something to give us a boost, and it did just that. Not only did it give us a boost, it brought us back to church because we had been away from the church for a few years. And in that community, it just nurtured us. And we got in touch with our sacrament, got a sense of who we are and who we're called to be as married people. But one of the things we noticed that in that community that was so nurturing for us, we were the only Black people.
Okay.
And so it became our mission to bring this gift to our community. So for a few years, several years, we considered ourselves ambassadors of Marriage Encounter to the Black Catholic community. And we got to speak at parishes all over the Archdiocese, just inviting couples to take part in that initiative. And it was quite disappointing in a sense that we were successful in getting couples to come and hear about the weekend retreat, but very few went on the retreat, and those who went on the retreat didn't have that same nurturing, awakening, conversion experience that we had. And that had everything to do with our socialization. We were living in the western suburbs, and by education and through work, we realized we were, in a sense, bicultural. We could translate into our own experiences what we were hearing on this weekend of mostly white people. And
so the Archdiocese decided, well, wait a minute, we need to have at least starting off a pre-Cana that is for and presented by African-American couples. And we were invited to be a part of that. And actually our pastor voluntold us.
Yeah, thanks, Father Mike.
Thanks, Father Mike. But he saw something in us that we didn't see ourselves. So with that, the pre-Canas were very successful. Now we're talking in the 80s, right? And coming up in the 90s. People were attending. Actually, it was a waiting list of couples willing to go to this pre-Cana.
On two different sites, one on the west side, one on the south side.
On the
Yeah.
south side, right. I
Yeah.
mentioned before we started that Kim and I are alumni. So thank you for that. Thank you for that work and the
That's
effort.
good to know.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot.
That ages us.
Yeah. We ran into a couple the other day that says, "Well, we've been married 36 years and you've given us our pre-Cana." We're like, "Oh my God, how old are we?" But you know what? It sounds like a lot, but it was such a good experience, and it enriched our relationship.
And outside of our children and grandchildren and family life, that invitation by the church to come and minister was one of the greatest gifts that has enriched us. It's defined us in so many ways. So when we think about, sure, we'll hope that it's been a message of encouragement for couples, but it certainly has been something that has fed us. We're better for it, for sure.
Wonderful. I wanted to ask then, over that more than 40-year journey, what's your perspective today on kind of what I'll call the state of marriage? The U.S., the Catholic Church, and then the Black Catholic community.
I think generally we're in a culture shift, and that shift has been over the last 50, 60, maybe even 70 years. And we no longer have that social imperative for marriage that was once there. So marriage being more optional today, many people, if not most, are opting out. They see it as a formality that is nice but unnecessary. And some sadly see it as something, you really have to have that right person. This has got to be your soulmate, and we're good for now, but I don't know about forever. And I think that's a sad loss for many people, because very often we think about our journey that there have been times when it was that piece of paper that was holding us together more than anything. And so, let's be real about that.
It's not always
This
peaches
isn't
and cream,
It's
right?
not a picnic all the time. Yeah.
And with the church, the church, of course, with the declining attendance as such, marriages are down. But weddings are in fashion again. Now, people are having their weddings now in their hotel suites, these getaway, destination wedding type things. And it's really attractive. But with the way the church's, rules and protocols and that is not feasible for a priest to marry you on the beach. Okay. So, and we said, oh, well, that's their loss. They need to come to us.
Yeah.
Well, now I just want to let you know the pre-Cana for the African American community it's gone. It's dead, as well as the office of marriage and family. It's down to practically nothing.
It's not what it was anyway, Yeah.
So, so pre-Canas are you do it, it's a DIY, do it yourself, DIY, where you go online and fill out the questionnaires and do your own discussion. So, and bring that to the priest. I don't know how well that's going because, we're not part of it at this point.
At this point, yeah. But, I think, though, too, that in terms of the church and how we lift up marriage, but I think we lift it so far up it's out of our sights.
Okay.
And There's so many couples that just don't get it. Um, when you think about this, something as momentous as making that decision to live for a lifetime till forever with someone is treated, we don't begin to prepare a couple for that until they've already chosen each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Church has so little influence. And how often do you hear practical, real experiences about marriage from the pulpit
Mm.
or even from the classroom?
Yeah.
Back when I was the coordinator of marriage ministry for the Archdiocese, I don't know if it's still true today, but back then, there was no standard curriculum for catechesis around marriage in high schools and things like that. So the first time they're hearing about this very often is at pre-Cana. and
And that's sad
it's
because
sad.
this is the sacrament of the church, and we're kind of letting the couples go on their own. There is no um, continuing education, if you will. So when Andrew and I introduced our weekend experience for currently married couples, it was pretty good. It hit it off. It was still for the size of the archdiocese. It wasn't as well attended as it should have been. It wasn't as encouraged as other programs by the priests. Young adults, they're ready to go on their mission trips, or the young people have a lot of ways that they can get involved. But when it comes to married couples, we married couples are pretty bad.
Yeah. We see it. I mean, the church, we all see it as this private relationship. And, we don't want to get in other people's business and things like that. But the reality of it is, and we've learned this through the years, is that to be married is a very difficult process at times. And none of us are good enough, holy enough to do this by ourselves. That we do need support, we need encouragement, we do need that social imperative, that pushes us when we stop feeling like it. And the truth is, at a wedding, you get all these people are coming there and they're just enjoying it and they're applauding you and praising you and all that. And then you're on your own. That the divorce is so lonely, and where is the church when it comes to helping these couples stay the long haul? And I think we can just do a much better job. And that's just generally. Now, in the Black community, it's even worse because we just got more baggage that's left over from so much, going all the way back to slavery times, but through Jim Crow and the ongoing discrimination that really abrupts family life in so many ways. The fact that we have couples who are hanging in there and trying, even without marriage, is a reflection of our resilience.
Let's
And
stop
rather
there.
than us,
Let's stop
Sure.
there if we can. And we're going to come back from break and we're going to talk about this. How do we encourage and support marriages and couples in the Black Catholic community? We'll be right back.
year 44 for me teaching. When I started here, there were teachers here that had taught me when I was a student. Now I'm the old person. Right now, I teach junior high math. I love when kids find what I'm teaching to be fun and they get it. I see that light bulb go off and it's a thrill. People are always amazed. What? You're here for 44 years? It's hard for me to believe, frankly. I love what I do. Every summer I think, oh, I miss the classroom. Even on the weekends, I think I can't wait to get back on Monday and teach those quadratic equations.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Catholic Charities' Refugee Resettlement Program has been especially busy this year, assisting individuals and families who have fled dangerous situations in their homeland, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. The Refugee Resettlement Team helps with everything they need to start to rebuild their lives in a new country, including housing, employment, clothing, food, English classes, and referrals for legal and immigration services. The refugees are tremendously grateful for the compassion and practical help they're receiving, and they're giving back and helping each other plan for a brighter, safer future. Volunteer opportunities are currently available for those who would like to be family mentors and tutors so children and adults can practice English. To learn more about these rewarding opportunities, call 312-655-7096. That's 312-655-7096.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago, the Black Catholic Initiative. I'm Deacon Jim Norman, Vicar for Deacons with the Archdiocese of Chicago. And here with me today is Andrew and Teri Lyke, who's discussing marriage from their book, Marriage on the Lampstand. We were talking before break, Andrew, you'd made the comment about weddings versus the marriage. There's so much energy that couples place in the wedding, the day. And unfortunately, Teri, you were also pointing out too, that as a faith community, we don't do anything to help prepare them for marriage and a discussion of marriage. And we find us in the church and them perhaps on the beach at a destination wedding. And maybe never the two shall meet, and we can't support each other. I wanted to talk to you in the remaining 10 minutes or so that we have left about how can parishes support married couples and couples in their community?
Well, first of all, we have to be that sacrament as a married couple, okay? So as a married couple, we have to be the ones to encourage, be that, model couple for the young couples. And secondly, I think we're missing out on an opportunity when couples come in, let's say, for example, to baptize their child. Many of those couples are not married. This would be a great opportunity for the church to invite, encourage, or at least give them the education of what it's like to, what it means to be sacrament.
But I think also it's better today than it was, but the numbers are so much fewer. But I look back on, during the time we were doing a lot of marriage prep, and a couple would come to the church, and usually one of the first things out of the mouth of the secretary, even the pastoral minister, is, are you, you're baptized? Are you a member? And things like that,
They
and
really send them through the grease.
And we treat marriage as though it's a club or some kind of great achievement, rather than an invitation to holiness, to a life of faith. And the best people to do that are married people, but they need to be empowered. They need to be given that authority that's part of their sacrament. It's a sacrament of service that we underutilize it as a church. And sadly, our clergy, other than deacons, are single, so they can't speak experientially. They can only speak theologically, practically, what they think they know. But that lived experience of that sacramental couple who isn't trying to be perfect, pretend that they're perfect or anything,
Yeah.
but they bring their real selves to church and make themselves visible and the evidence of God's grace in our community.
So Terry and Andrew, I hear you saying to me, Deacon, you ought to make your marriage visible, accessible to others so that it can be seen.
Absolutely, Deacon, because you may be over here and your wife is over there, you're doing your ministry, and the fact that you are an ordained a minister, you're up on the altar. You're in separate places during Mass. So a lot of people need to see us together on a regular basis to say, okay, look at them. They have to see it to believe it. And the children are watching us as well.
Is that perhaps how you
interesting.
came up with your title, Marriage on the Lampstand?
Yeah, that's from Matthew's gospel in the 5th chapter. No one lights a lamp and puts it under a bushel basket, but they put it on a lampstand where it gives light to all in the house, and that glorifies God. And so we have to see ourselves. How do we help couples to see themselves as that glorification of God? It's really something to live up to. It really is. And it really does help us to do that. And we even think it just in terms of just understanding who God is. God is in 3 persons, and that reflection is in all of us, in us, all 3, in a sense that sometimes we're sitting on the throne of grace and having a great time. And then there's those times when that spirit is bugging us and pushing us into uncomfortable places. And then there are those times we are on the cross.
Okay.
We're suffering because of each other, so to speak. And
So the book, sorry to cut you off, does talk about situations, what it's like in the Black community, how the church can help. We talk about Black Families Matter, just on that same thread where, Black lives matter, but our families matter. It takes a village. And what marriages need to thrive.
Yeah.
And it's more than just communication. We need that village.
Yeah, we need that formation. And we, the church, really must reach out to these families that don't have the benefit of marriage and not see them through some dysfunction, like what's wrong, we're going to fix you. No, we're not. We're celebrating your coming.
Okay.
We use the parable on the prodigal son as kind of a vision for us that, these couples coming to the church to be married, the few that they are, most often, aren't coming out of the pews. They're coming back. And what are we doing? Are we killing the fatted calf for them, or are we having them jump through hoops and telling them that they're living in sin?
So when we look at our marriage retreat, for example, are we only inviting those in the club? There are people who aren't married and they're not kids, but they could use the mentorship. They could use the skills that we provide. We have to encourage them to taste a little bit of this sacrament here that we have to offer as a church.
And the question shifts when we do that well from why get married to why not?
Yeah, very powerful. So much of what you're saying sounds like where the church is trying to be today, accepting people where they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
welcoming
than
them
where
and
we want
creating
them
a
to
sense
be.
of belonging before they expect that they will behave and believe.
That's a good way of
right?
putting it.
Yeah, it just very much saying accepting it where they are. As you were speaking to, I also recognize that perhaps in our community, and there may be some others, our families aren't traditional.
Right.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, so
Yeah.
you might have your husband, I mean, a man and a woman, but there's children and there's nieces and nephews, or there's grandma of one is with them as well. So it is not a typical nuclear family.
And not to me, also think about what they call the multi-fertility families, where you have a husband and a wife, but the kids are products of
Yes.
previous relationships and things like that. You
Right.
know, um, so it's complex, it's difficult, but it's so doable. Very briefly, we were part of this Healthy Marriage Initiative back in around
Yes.
2005 to
Yep.
2009, something like that. And it was an outreach. It was because it was government funded. We couldn't talk about religion and faith and all that. We just brought skills. But it was like, bringing water into a desert. These
They
couples
loved
were
it.
so enthused with what we were imparting on them that made them feel like, oh, we can do that. We can do that. And we let them know, that find yourself a community of support, whether it's a church, your family, your neighbors, whomever, a bunch of friends, but find people who can support what you're trying to do. And I think we, the church, are the best capable for doing that.
Maybe that would be a great outreach, just to have, and back in the day they used to call it baby mama drama, and that was coined because of the absentee fathers, the mother and the child, and the man in and out. But having a program that invites all,
And
you know?
celebrates them.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't tell them you're doing this wrong,
Mhm.
Right.
but
Right.
encourage them to keep doing, and here's some skills to help you do it better even.
Wonderful. Let's put up the book again. I just want to make sure that people see that. They go out and get a copy of that. Andrew and Teri, we want to thank you for being with us today. We also are excited about the fact that you'll be engaging with the diaconate community, supporting our
can't
married
wait.
couples in the upcoming year through Joseph and Mary Retreat Center. So we're looking forward to having you with us and hopefully extending your experience, your insights, and your wisdom broader across the Archdiocese of Chicago and especially the Black Catholic community. So thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you,
Thanks, Jim. My pleasure.
Say hi to Kim for us.
I certainly will. God bless.